So here we are at the bonny banks of Loch Lomond in a beautiful, glorious, sunny-ish day. Here, and I'm joined by John McArthur today. How are you doing, John?
I'm not bad, Jim. Pleased to be here.
So John here is an advocate and he's been doing this. How long have you been doing it, John?
Probably since the beginning of December now, so a couple of months I've been doing this cold water stuff, cold water exposure therapy, whatever you want to call it. So since December I started off with doing some showers, and then now I do some lock dips. I've got a wee tub in my back garden that I get into the cold water on a daily basis.
So that's basically a prep work you need to do?
Pretty much, yeah, aye. Ideally anybody that's thinking about getting into cold water exposure, they're looking at doing like, if they fancy trying it, is look at all the kind of health benefits. Obviously get the kind of medical side of it all done as well though. It's not just a case of jumping into something cold. So if you've got any underlying medical issues, it's like anything else, maybe a contraindication, we're advised not to do it. So it's just obviously daily safe aspects. So obviously there's a lot of information online with regards to safe cold water exposure. I mean, it was through, like say, Mark McLean and a guy Alan Wilson that I've got a YouTube channel, Your Evolution. So watching one of their episodes, and an episode that I watched that got me right interested in this was an episode called Into the Deepest, which is a group that was formed in Glasgow by a guy, Gerald Neal. And Gerald himself is a life coach. So listening to some of his stuff has actually been amazing for me personally, just listening to Jed's stuff on a daily basis. The reason I get into it is because obviously the lockdowns, you know, I saw regards to like mental health issues and all that with regards to the cold water exposure and how it can re-thing with the brain signals, the patterns of the brain and all that, just with that cold and controlling the breathing. So it's a bit like meditation. Some people like to meditate, you know, for anxiety, depression and all that kind of stuff. So with the cold exposure goes hand in hand with a lot of the meditation type stuff, because a lot of the content that we've been looking at is like, you know, people with, you know, attempted suicides and all that. So that's how good the groups have got. That's about opening up in the community.
Probably, do you think, for example, if lockdown hadn't happened, it probably wouldn't have taken off?
There's every possibility that it might know of, but it's something that I know me, that since I started doing it, I'll do it every day. It's part of me now, and when I go back to work, and I'm planning to keep doing that. But you've got to do it to experience it. So I explain it to somebody that's like, are you kidding me? You hate the cold, you know, you're not going to go in there. There's no chance. But I tell you, it's such a buzz. But the biggest buzz for me was as you're coming out the water. Do you know what I mean? If you're coming out that water, it's that, you know, the blood rushing to the surface, and the, you know, the skin and all that, and it's the tingling, and you come out feeling so refreshed and so invigorated. And that's what I think is the buzz about it. I mean, I think my next door neighbours is a lot of people that do this stuff. The neighbours might look at it when you go, look at that dumpty in that tub, and here's me breaking a bit of ice, sitting there like that, and you're breaking the ice. But I do love it, and as I say, it's thanks to, like, say,
as well. I think the water actually warmer.
The warmer
than it is
genuinely is. I think
right, okay.
There's been a couple of times we've came and there's a couple of women taking the temperature, so I think it reckons between 3 and 5 degrees the water sits at. So it's quite bizarre, because I've came here at night time for a night time dip at 7-8 o'clock. It's like maybe -1. And you're getting in there and you're thinking, well, it's warmer in here, and then you're coming out and you're like that, getting yourself changed. But I just think it's phenomenal. I really do think it's something I'm going to always do, in a sense of whether it be showers or no. It's all about getting together with nature, and you know yourself how, when it comes to depression and all that, nothing beats that better than nature. The big thing with this kind of exposure is there's no set time that you need to be in that water. It's all about being comfortable in what you're doing. And some people can only last maybe 30 seconds, 20 seconds, and anything between 8 and up to 15 minutes.
Really?
Soon as I feel like as soon as you start to feel uncomfortable, it's time to come out. There's a big thing with this cold water exposure is Wim Hof. I don't know if you've ever heard of Wim Hof.
No. But
Wim Hof is big on this, and he can sit for this. He's broke crazy records for being underwater with ice and all that, and he's got all these kind of breathing programs that then helps you go in. Because when you go into the water, it's genuinely within the first minute to a minute and a half that you think, oh my god.
What I didn't realise as well, because I'm thinking these guys are crazy to do things like this, but there's a good there's a good positive message behind it. So it's about mental health, which I really didn't know. So that is really big time. And again, as I said, if you get a chance to look at Your Evolution channel and look up the episode where it's Into the Deepest, it goes into a bit more detail. I'd heard as well, I'd spoken to my friend Chris, who's also done this, and he'd mentioned actually that one of the guys that's done this for years, and basically he's not had any illness for years. I don't know if you've heard that.
I've heard a few. I mean, even a few people with the groups. There's a few people in the groups get like arthritic issues, you know, that joint problems, and I'd say 90% of everybody that has opened up about what their conditions are, this has helped them physically. One of my mates had asked me if I felt, how long did it take me to feel the benefits of that? And I can honestly say, my very first cold shower, it was like an instant benefit.
So
immediately I felt it. The biggest benefits I've had throughout the whole process that I've done is physical, mental, and what's the other one? Emotional. Yeah. You know, my emotional state. See, we just be in that water and clearing my mind with everything. I like to get in a zone, get my breathing controlled, and I can last for ages. But it seems to put me off my stride a wee bit if I'm in chatting. But yet, because my mate's issues with his mental health, I don't want to know to talk to him when I'm in the water with him. So I like all the aspects of it. But again, emotional wise, again, just sitting in there totally de-stresses big time. So again, it's the three, as I say, the physical, the emotional and mental is total my benefits, and that's why I'm going to keep doing it. I mean, my wife laughs at me and off. She kind of looks at me, it's like, you're going for your cold dump today? I'm like, aye, or I might go for a shower. But the good thing with me is I like the three types of exposure that I'm doing. So I like the showers, I like the tub, and I like the loch. So it's great. As I say, this is my doorstep. I mean, some people look at you stupid. I mean, sometimes you do get a wee audience together, because obviously people
look at that nutter in the water.
It's massive now, and it's amazing me the amount of people are getting involved in it. But it's all about positivity, you know what I mean? Positive vibes, positive people doing about you. There's no set type. The community is the community, and it's a case of, you know, you could be the biggest, the heaviest, you know, the fittest, the leanest. Doesn't matter.
So what advice would you give somebody that was hoping to start it or thinking about starting it? And where would they go for the groups? How would they find, for example, the group?
On the groups, I mean, Facebook, I mean, again, obviously I'm thinking Facebook a wee bit, but there's Facebook groups, Instagram, they're all on Instagram. So you've got Dynamic Creations, and it's obviously Jed that did Into the Deepest. So Into the Deepest is one of the groups. The Western Bartonshire kind of spin-off from Into the Deepest is Taking the Plunge. So Taking the Plunge has become massive. I mean, there's loads of people I know now that are actually on it. But the good thing about these groups now is it is good to talk. So if you feel you've got anything on your mind, they'll all list at you, and it's always
so that's Taking the Plunge, Western Bartonshire.
Taking the Plunge, Western Bartonshire group. It was formed by Michael Toner and Vicky Murphy, and Into the Deepest was Gerald Neal. Well, it's called Jed. So Jed Neal was Into the Deepest, and then again, obviously, as I said, if it wasn't for Your Evolution with Mark and Alan, I probably wouldn't have come across this. So it's thanks to all them, and even like Michael Rabarczyk, because again, I've known loads of different people, and you get hooked to watching somebody's progress and stories. I kind of thought, this is great. So it's all these people that I've got to thank for doing what I'm doing, because I'm loving it, and it's something I would encourage. You know, if you feel comfortable in the cold, it's something I highly recommend to try. But on that note, I'm going to go and get myself ready to go for a dump. A dump even. Don't want a dump. Well, forget the dump.
So John's just getting himself ready to take the plunge, or take a dump, as he said, and so, yep, I'll be keeping my gloves firmly on, my jacket firmly fastened, and I'll be watching from the shore, and we'll see how John does in his 4-degree-ish plunge. So John, you were saying you might be a wee bit red, you're certainly.
Yes,
you look sunburnt.
Yep, that's it.
I take my hat off to you, John, that was impressive. I would not last in there for 2 seconds, let alone 10 minutes. Brilliant.
That's great.